So this week, our review is of Cobra Kai. It's the final season, and then we'll talk about the overall show in general because it is the series finale happened. Um, so what'd you think?
Um, I thought it was entertaining for the most part. I felt like it was kind of long, but we didn't watch it in the segmented parts that it came out in that they kind of wanted you to watch it in. We just watched all of it at once. Um, I do think that was the better way to watch it, but it felt kind of long. And then felt like the first, like this could have been trimmed up easily and probably would have felt better in the long run, but they wanted to make it these three parts and really milk it.
Yeah.
Um, it was entertaining. There are some things I like, some things I dislike. Um, I don't know. What do you think?
I thought this was the best season that they had in a while. They just went back to basics, went back to the relationships and karate. They didn't have, oh, my dad I'm gonna go to Mexico or whatever, and or wherever he went. It was just like straightforward. I feel like it's just the Sekai Taikai. I got to hear that about 800 more times, which is the best. I love hearing Sekai Taikai all the time. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's characters that I didn't love the ending for, and also I think there's some things that just make like no sense. But this show had already crossed over to Fantasyland when 70-year-old man broke out of jail, and no repercussions for him at all. He's
He has PTSD or something.
just out and about. Um, but whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
doesn't
uh,
whatever.
you know, Silver has unlimited money and can just do whatever he wants. He set up this whole like production company for this, and somehow that makes karate mainstream. That makes no sense. It's just like now people are gonna care about karate and watch it in like bars. Like no,
Yeah, that's how it works. You just
um,
buy viewers. Yeah.
yeah, we're in fantasy land still. But that's okay. The show is over the top. It's always been over the top. It's supposed to be 80s cheesiness, and it went to the 11 on this season, which I'm okay with. They reference Rocky so much in this season. Not only do they reference Rocky, they literally just straight up talk about Rocky in the last couple episodes. So, yeah. Uh, it's, it's kind of you can say it was an homage, but I mean, it's kind of a ripoff. Um, yeah, I mean, I kind of knew where it was going. I knew that. I mean, the show is called Cobra Kai. It's not called Miyagi-Do, so I kind of knew where that was going. The only part I didn't realize was coming was like the last fight of the season. Um, I thought was just ridiculous. And didn't make any sense for why the rules would be that way. Makes no sense. But it was just to give people things to do. Um, I think they dragged out these last couple seasons so much that they had to lightning speed this last season. So, like, there's so many characters they had to give wrap up, and they wrapped them up in like 10 minutes, like their whole arc of the entire show. They bring back some characters, but don't bring back other characters. For some reason. And they just kind of, maybe they couldn't get the actors, so they just kind of gave like other people just like kind of took their spot, and people hook up with people for some reason, and people. Yeah, there's two characters that hook up for some reason. That make no sense.
Yeah,
Probably because they
I don't
chosen.
know what you're talking about. Oh, okay, yeah.
Um, two no, four people die in this final season here. Um, so
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Mhm.
actually, five people die in this season. I forgot about one.
Okay, we'll go over it.
Anywho, I mean, overall, I still think it was the best season in a while, probably since like the second or third season. But I just thought the last couple seasons were pretty weak. So, and they just went back to the basics. Um, yeah, I think. I mean, I feel like some episodes were like complete filler episodes, and then other episodes were just like I said, lightning speed wrapping up people. So, um, I think overall I'm at a 7 for the season. But I still think the show is pretty good and a fun show. And I would think I would give it an 8 overall. Because I think like the good seasons are really good, and then the not so good seasons are still like decent. So I think like every season I would range from like a 6 to a 9. So yeah, I think I'll even it out to like an 8 or maybe a 7.5.
Yeah. I'm pretty. I'd probably say the whole series is an 8 overall. I don't know if I agree with this one being a 7. Maybe towards a little more of a 6. I don't know. I was pretty dreading watching it every time. I was never really like, oh, what's going to happen next episode? Not to say it was bad. It was entertaining at some bits, but um,
I think I
yeah.
like the last 5 the best. I mean, because things were happening.
Yeah, pretty
I
much
like,
anytime tournaments happening, I was good
yeah,
with it. And then
yeah.
other than that, not so much.
I mean, there was a lot of fights, a lot of decent, good fights too. Like, and they were well put together, I think. And, um, yeah, but there was just like the cringe parts.
Yeah, even the fighting for me is like nobody fights like this. They're just like randomly doing flips over each other and
Yeah,
stuff. It's dialed up to 11, like you said. It's fine. I don't. This isn't. It's not like the same kind of action as like a John Wick or something, right? It's
yeah,
yeah. I'm not saying it needs to be. I'm just saying like the action is there, but it doesn't have any kind of stakes whatsoever for me. No, it doesn't.
yeah. I mean, yeah, um, yeah. I see what you're saying. All right. Well, I don't. I think that's all I can kind of say without getting like
Spoiling things.
spoilery. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you're at a 7. I'm at a 6. Maybe a 7. Maybe after spoilers will go up. We'll see.
All right.
All right. Spoiler section. Who
All
the heck
right.
died?
So
I know.
Quan, I think is his name. The kid, the
Yeah.
guy, one of the
Quan.
kid who just came out of nowhere this season. So he was expendable.
I thought his
And
character was
then
pretty good, though, for the
yeah,
most part. Yeah.
I mean, I think you like douchey characters,
I
so
thought he did a good job at what
yeah,
he was supposed to do. Yeah.
yeah. Because they had already written off the other douchey Korean guy in college or whatever, so they needed somebody else to replace
Oh,
him.
yeah. That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he died, and it was just like he died. The end. Which was kind of how most of the people that died this season happened.
Yeah.
They just went, they died. Her master that she straight up kills, and he dies. Who cares? She's a murderer. That's fine. Because
Yeah.
it's okay
Well,
because
he
she does the
he was
move.
like 1,000 years old, so
Oh, so it's okay. 1,000 years old,
he's
murder someone. Who
lived
cares?
plenty of life. So
Yeah. The henchman for Silver, he dies because he's on a boat that
oh
explodes
yeah.
with
Okay.
Kreese and Silver, who also die. Therefore, 5 people die this season.
Okay, I didn't realize we were including the henchman. I was like, who the
I
heck is
mean, he
this fake
dies. He is
person?
a person that dies.
Yeah, he is a person. Just henchman. We don't know what his name was.
Henchman who's from one of the Karate Kid movies that he beats up for like he beat him up in like 3 seconds, and then he got way more run on the show than he ever did in the movie. And in a movie, Cobra Kai movie, Karate Kid movie,
Okay.
they showed the flashback. And Kreese and Silver die in explosion on the yacht, and they are never talked about for the whole end of the last episode.
That's
They
not
don't talk about
true. The bad guy goes, "Where's Silver?"
it. They don't
Yeah,
say that
that's
they
it.
died. No
Yeah.
one reacts to their death. Just they're dead, and it's like they never happened, never existed, even though they were the villains of the whole show.
Yep. I agree. I think it's dumb. I think
Like he goes to a grave, and then he just goes back to his mom's grave at the end. And I thought that was going to be Kreese or something. It's like, no, just his mom.
well,
It's like,
he's Ash, so how are they gonna bury him?
I mean, I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
But these two characters are pivotal. I mean, Kreese is pivotal, and Silver, it was pivotal later, and they die, and no one says anything. No one cares. No one cries. No one even knows about it. It's just like at the end, they're at dinner or lunch or whatever the hell, and they're like, I thought maybe they were going to talk about it. Like nothing. They just like,
Yeah.
the end.
Yep.
Yeah, it was super, super, super weird.
Yep.
That they don't even talk about that. So yeah, Kreese and Silver go out with a bang, and nobody cares.
Yep. Including the audience.
Apparently not. I don't know. I just thought that was super weird. Like, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'll get that out of the way. So
Well,
we
I
got
feel like Kreese kind of got a send off. You know, he got his redemption, even though like it's so like one out of the blue ish. Like we knew it was gonna happen, but since this whole last season super rushed, he's just like, yeah, I failed. I just kind of out of nowhere when like there was plenty of those moments in prior seasons for him to do this. But you know, it's ending now, so now it's time to do it, type of thing.
yeah. So the first chunk of the season was them basically preparing for that Sekai Taikai. And then Kreese like being worthy, I guess, to do the Cobra Kai, I guess.
Yeah, he's literally fighting a snake. Yeah.
That was for Cobra Kai, right? Yeah. I was like, but yeah, but later the lady just doesn't. She not there at the Sekai Taikai, even though they're Cobra Kai, right?
Dude,
But
who cares? Yeah, sure.
yeah, but she's not there. She's just like
She's
teaching.
doing it her own way.
But so I guess, is she not Cobra Kai anymore? I don't know. But
I mean, they were never really Cobra Kai to begin with. I don't think they were ever called Cobra Kai before that. They just entered the tournament as Cobra Kai.
Ah, okay, got it. All right, now we got it. Yeah. So the first part of the season was pretty inconsequential, I would say.
Yes. Like
except he got a knife.
Yeah.
Except he has a knife.
That's how they picked who was going to the tournament, I would say, is the other thing. But
yeah, that's true.
If I had watched this in parts, it would have probably made me not want to watch the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then I would have to wait for the rest of it as well. I would have definitely been really dreading it after watching that.
Yeah. So. And that character got a send off and he was in college. That's about it. I mean, but who cared about that guy?
Yeah, nobody cared about that guy. I don't know why that episode was there.
Well, and also you could predict who is going to go to the tournament, like as if like the little shrimpy kids are going to like beat the other kids to our lead kids to be the ones at the
Yeah,
tournament and the captains and stuff, right? It's like obvious, clear. It's going to be Hawk and Dimitri and Robbie and everything.
yeah. A character that I wanted. Well, I felt like they were going to do more with was the younger lady. Was it Devin?
Devin sounds correct. Yes.
Um,
She made him crap his pants.
yeah, I liked the character, and I thought they were going to actually like make her do some good karate, and then they have her this whole thing with her, and then it goes nowhere, and then she just kind of leaves, type of thing, and it's back to the main four. I don't know. Pretty much like the whole Kenny and the son, all of that is just garbage to me. It's just,
Well, it's just a storyline that they had to wrap up because it's the last
yeah,
season. So they just finished it out. And it didn't matter because it didn't matter that Kenny went or didn't go or Devin went or didn't
yeah,
go. It didn't matter because it always comes down to the captains. And it's never going to be one of them as the captains
yeah.
unless they do a show down the line. But they'll long be not be kids anymore. So they're.
Hmm.
I just, yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
They have to wrap it
Well,
up, but also we don't care. So it's like,
yeah, I didn't like it last season. I don't like it this season. It definitely brings it down for me on those particular storylines.
yeah, yeah. So that first chunk bleeds into the second chunk. Like I said, people crapping their pants and stuff. But yeah, then the second part they clearly shot in Barcelona, and they're showing all that, and like that's nice or whatever. And the Sekai Taikai begins, and yeah, I mean, it just basically comes down to they have the tournament and they get to the semifinal matches where something good's gonna happen, and then you got your first one where it just devolves into a brawl with everybody because the Russians got disqualified because the Russians are cheaters. Shocking. Um, uh, yeah, and then there's other stuff where Sam goes hangs out with the guy from that other team, and he just loves her immediately, and she's like, "What? I'm not
She's
down with that.
pretty,
She's pretty."
pretty.
And that's it. And then
It goes nowhere,
um,
by the way. Like there's
it goes
still.
nowhere. I mean, it doesn't not it does go somewhere.
Well, I felt
Um,
like if she had helped him kind of break out from the team, like he does it on
yeah.
his own, but if she had done something after that, I felt like it would have been a little more impactful for those prior scenes. But she doesn't do anything. They're just like,
Well,
yeah,
it's
he's acting weird.
it's also interesting because they don't they don't show him at either of the dojos at the end or anything. So he just like quits.
Yeah,
Like, does he just quit karate altogether? I don't know. It's kind of weird.
who knows?
Anyway, so it devolves into a big brawl, and that's where that knife comes into play here. And the one that dies is Quan. With after that very loud scream, Daniel turns him over and he's dead. Kreese was trying to stab Silver there, and then the knife it gets dropped in the scrap down below where the big fight is happening with all the dojos and stuff, and that's where he dies. And that's the end of the second part of the season.
Yep.
Um, the second part of the season was more interesting just because there was actual things
Tournament
happening and
stuff. Yeah.
tournament stuff. Oh yeah, and Robbie gets drunk and sleeps with a chick, but that's okay. Um,
Oh yeah.
I mean, they
I
basically say that he didn't consent to it,
I
but don't
thought they
say
were.
that.
I thought they were gonna say that they never did anything and he was just drunk. and but she made it look like they did something. I thought that's what it was gonna be, but nope.
No,
They never cleared that up.
no, they didn't.
Yeah.
He just, I mean, I guess they say that they're he didn't realize what he was doing, I guess. Um, so that's a little
Yeah.
weird.
I don't know why
And-
it's that big of a deal. They were on a break anyways. I don't see, even if he wasn't drinking, like he's allowed
well,
to do
it
that.
doesn't
But
matter. It doesn't matter, Andrew, because he says later, "I love you," and then it's good, and then we move on, like nothing ever happened.
yeah, it was a poor choice of
Yeah, it was
yeah.
super weird. They just wanted to give the mean girl something, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that she sucks? I guess is her story, her
Well, it
plot
didn't make
beat.
sense to me. Is like the guy is beating on the other dude, right? But all the other students, he doesn't beat them for some reason. I don't.
Well, we don't see that. I don't. I mean, is
I
Bongo
guess he
doing
could have
anything?
been, but it is
There's
only
only
shown. Yeah, he's never
there,
beating on this girl.
dude. All that matters. Who cares? I don't even know there's other people in that dojo. It's just those two, the two
Okay, well, he
captains there
didn't
that
beat
matter.
that girl, and then the girl seems to have all the freedom in the world, and that guy seems to have no freedom and is all about training.
Well, he's not. Well, I mean, that would have made him really dastardly if he starts beating her up, but she wouldn't be there if he's beating her up.
I
So
guess it's okay to beat
uh,
men, I guess, but not okay to beat women.
apparently, that girl in real life is a real like world champion. Like she's actually like that's why she's like a bad actress because she's like an actual fighting
I
champion.
believe it because you could tell when they're who's actually doing their things and who isn't actually doing their thing.
Yeah,
So
right, exactly. So yeah, she's actually, but she's like pretty small, but she's like a real like grand champion. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, she's like kind of cute, I guess. So that's probably why they got her. I'm assuming. Um,
mhm.
eh.
To be honest,
Um,
I thought her acting stacked up against the rest of them. So
I mean, all of them are from like Disney Channel and stuff. It's not like they're all like,
I'm just saying it's not like they're cream of crop actors here
No, I didn't.
before
I
like
didn't. I never said they were the greatest actors either.
yeah.
Um,
I'm
all
saying
right,
she fits right in.
cool. And then yeah, it wraps Robbie and Tori there wraps up. They just love each other, and they both got Fantasyland contracts with a publicity company there with the PR
Yeah, they
agency, whatever.
are advertising for Monster drinks or something.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, they had like Hawk and Dimitri, they're binary brothers or whatever, and that happened. And good for them. I liked Hawk's American flag mohawks, pretty cool.
Are we gonna
Uh,
talk about the CGI Miyagi?
oh yes, yes, we're of course going to talk about it. I was getting to
Uh,
our adults here, the people that the show
oh,
apparently is really about. It's not about these kids and Cobra Kai. It's about these adults. I was going to get to that.
okay.
Don't you worry. Because that was horrible. So we'll get to that. You know what? Yeah, no, we'll get to them in a minute because we got to talk about Miguel and Sam first. So yeah, so Sam, her arc this season was something.
Her arc
Uh,
was I'm gonna fight to prove myself, and when it comes down to fighting, I don't have to. I've already
I'm
proved
gonna
myself.
quit. Yeah, got it. Yeah, yeah, and then and yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, and then she's gonna go to Okinawa study
Yeah,
abroad
they were gonna be
program.
closer, but she didn't want to secretly. And
She's still gonna go to the California school, but she's gonna do a study abroad program to
I
for
have no
that.
idea. I don't know about.
Yeah, it was a California school. It said like something California on the letter. Um, but yeah, so and I bet apparently everybody can get into like fantastic technical schools or like Stanford, just like no problem.
He's a hard worker.
Anyway, yeah, so Miguel gets into that, gets into Stanford. Miguel was pretty much sidelined pretty much the entire season. And just basically gave people pep talks or him worrying about.
I liked his villain arc. That was entertaining. His little, let me show you how it's done. And then he goes and beats
Yeah,
up people. Yeah. Oh, that was pretty
I
good.
mean,
But yeah,
yeah, but I
he
mean,
had no storyline. Yeah.
he had no storyline because I mean, of the kids, he is by far and away the most compelling character that they created for this show. And they basically sidelined him the whole time until shocking, the very end. Where basically Miyagi, well, because we know, like I said, it's not called Miyagi-Do, it's called Cobra Kai. We're gonna come down to Cobra Kai at the end, right? And they got to fight the villain. They can't go against Miyagi-Do, right? So they got to go against the Silver Dragons or whatever the hell they're called, and
Iron Dragons.
Iron Dragons, the Iron Giants, and then yeah, so they need a male champion, and it's okay because they used to be Cobra Kai, so they can just hop on that team. Apparently, you can just hop on any team that you want when they're in the
Well,
finals.
both of them are prior Cobra Kais, if you
Yeah,
don't know
exactly.
that.
Yes, everybody on this show, I think, is a former Cobra Kai, including Daniel. So, yeah. So yeah. So they're so Tori wins, she's the champion, and Miguel subs in for Robby, who got sidelined because he got hurt, because he got completely should have been the guy should have been disqualified when he broke his leg, but you know,
Yeah,
whatevs.
he was just like, oh, they both fell on the mat. That's all I saw.
That's all I thought. I'm the best. I'm also a cameo from a former movie that I'm not sure which one, but I'm back
Yeah.
because cameos. Yeah. So yeah. So Robby was out, and so they needed a replacement, and you got Miguel, of course, because Miguel is the man. And Miguel beats the machine guy because he like girl, and doesn't want to look bad in front of, or doesn't want to be a bad guy in front of her. That is the end of his arc there. And that it did go somewhere. It just wasn't great. So there you go. With that guy's arc.
I thought he just didn't want to cheat. I didn't think it was because of her.
He
But
looked over at her and he's like, I can't do it or whatever.
I don't know.
Just,
He cheated
he did.
5 seconds earlier, no problem. So
Yeah, but he changed his mind then. Now
yeah,
it's what you do. It's what you do last is what's important, Andrew.
okay.
Anywho, so Miguel wins, and Tori wins. So Cobra Kai is now tied with the Iron Giants, and so they have a great stipulation in the Sekai Taikai that the senseis, not another fight between people in the thing or anything, the senseis will fight to see who wins the whole thing. The dojo that wins the whole thing. And we'll get back to that because that's for Johnny there. First, we're going to talk about Daniel here, which was by far the worst storyline in the whole season, probably the whole show, which was apparently Mr. Miyagi's killer and a bad person, maybe. Which is that story? That's the storyline through the whole season.
Yep.
Now, there's like a necklace that they found a little clipping that apparently Mr. Miyagi stole, but he stole it back in a righteous way because Daniel's mom is there to let them know what happened with the necklace. with a cameo return for Daniel's mom there, so that clears up that bit. But I mean, he still killed somebody, so
I don't know. They were saying he wanted it back, and then the guy attacked him essentially. So it was like a self defense kill.
no, he didn't kill that guy. He just beat him up and took the necklace. He killed the guy in the Sekai Taikai.
Oh yeah,
And they're like, this is authentic results and everything. Like, he killed that guy, but
we
it's
don't
like,
really know how or
it's in
anything.
the heat of war, or whatever you want to call it. It's just like,
Yeah,
oh well.
it was rough back then.
Yeah. So yeah, that was interesting. I mean, eh.
And you get the
Um,
horrible CGI.
and then yeah, so the whole season, Daniel's like having nightmares, and I don't know if Mr. Miyagi's a bad guy or something or whatever. And we have multiple dreams with horrible, 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 deep fake, de-aged, whatever you want to call it, Mr. Miyagi there. Um,
I thought it was fine when they had the scene where he fights him, like back in the 60s or whatever that's supposed to be. And they show
it's
him
supposed to be the
just,
Sekai Taikai
yeah, but
at
they
some point.
show him at
Yeah.
like that one scene where it's like just his face and he just has like one line. I thought that was
Yeah.
fine ish. Like it didn't look great, but that's where they should have left it. And then they
Yeah.
bring it back a second time, and that's when it just looks real bad.
When they're fighting the
The
skeleton
skeletons called
costume
back.
guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, didn't like that.
Yep.
I can't believe they were okay with that.
I
I don't know.
mean, I'm sure they got paid.
I just didn't like it. This is just bad. Kind of disrespectful to me. To and they kind of screw up the Mr. Miyagi character with all this weird stuff that they bring up in this last season. I don't know.
Well, I thought it was gonna lead to him learning like how to do, that whole thing, and
Yeah.
then it never did.
And Josen's like, that doesn't help anything. Stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah. Yeah, and Daniel's like basically traumatized. Halfway, like in to coming into the third chunk of the season. He's kind of a dick to the guys at the dealership. And then they have like a party, and he's like, the wife's like, you need to let it go, basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. It wasn't a great storyline.
So going into this third part, because someone died at the Sekai Taikai in Barcelona, Silver goes to the head of it, and he's like, I gotta have it. We gotta do it. And he's like, I'm okay with that if everybody agrees. And Daniel doesn't agree because he's like traumatized about this Miyagi thing and the kid dying and blah, blah, blah. And then they basically go, hey, they want to fight. And then he's like, all right. And then the Sekai Taikai is back in the valley there,
Yep.
where it all began, even though it's clearly not the same place at all. So yeah, the World Championships are where the All Valley Championships are. Yes, and we already know who our champions are and all that stuff. So yes, now let's talk about Johnny. Our lead of this show, and Johnny is has to have his hero moment. So yes, in this season we had what's her name, Carmen, his girlfriend, was pregnant, and There's a complication with the pregnancy, so Miguel and Johnny leave during the tournament, and just do a quick round trip from Barcelona, which is a 12-hour flight, by the way. And they somehow get there, go back to home and back to Barcelona in one night, which is literally impossible. So yeah, and there's a whole thing with Kenny and the crap his pants with the wife and everything, and that he goes to and goes back to Barcelona, and it was all a misdirect. Obviously, that Carmen's not dead and the baby's fine, and she's like, "Get back out there, Tiger." And then they go back to an impossible
That
way.
whole thing should not have even been in the show. I get
I
why it
really
was
don't.
there, but it added nothing.
Yeah, it's just like more heart to hearts.
Yeah.
Basically, the show is just heart to hearts or fighting. That's about it. Or villains. And then yeah, so that happens, and then they have the baby, and they get married, and it's all fine and dandy. Now Johnny needs to resolve his stuff with Kreese there. Kreese feels bad because a kid died or whatever, his little protege that he found or whatever. And he basically is like, I'm done. And Johnny,
I'm done being bad.
I'm done being bad. I feel bad for you, Johnny. I'm sorry I let you down. I'm your dad. Because your stepdad's a dick, but he was also played by Ed Asner, who's dead, so they couldn't show him. Because you get the ring from him, but they can't show him because Ed Asner died. So, yeah. Yep, and he proposes, and she says yes, and they get married. They have the kid. Hooray. And then, yeah, so Kreese is like, all right, I feel bad. I'm sorry. And then here's Cobra Kai. And you don't know it, but I'm going to protect your family and make sure Silver doesn't get his henchmen to, take your family hostage or whatever. By killing himself and Kreese on a yacht.
And his henchman.
Killing himself and Silver and the henchman on a yacht by throwing a cigar into some random gas tank on the top of it, and then it just makes the whole thing explode. So yeah, that was the end of Kreese, but they had a good heartfelt hug and cry and whatever, and yeah, so Johnny is Cobra Kai once more, and is the sensei, and that gives him the opportunity to be in the final fight there, because the rules of the Sekai Taikai is that the senseis, if there's a tie, will go for the dojo, not like the kids. And then he has to face Louis Tan, who I haven't brought up this whole time because he's lame.
I liked him. I thought
Louis Tan from Mortal Kombat.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, so he's the villain in this, and he gets to use his British accent. He doesn't have to do a fake accent. And he just comes out of nowhere, and he's just amazing. And apparently he was like a fighter guy, and he knows how to, make people have heart attacks in fights, I guess. Yeah, and
the weaknesses, yes.
He becomes the de facto final boss here for this show, because Kreese and Silver exploded, and we don't talk about them. So yeah. And then they have a final fight, and Johnny kicks his bootay, and Johnny is the winner, and Cobra Kai wins overall in this ridiculous final rule if there's a tie. And Johnny gets to, raise his trophy, even though he's been the All Valley champion twice. So, but he, and we got to see Daniel and everybody in the Cobra Kai uniforms, because show's called Cobra Kai, right? So they had a good finale, and Cobra Kai had a win, which I kind of knew was going to happen anyway. And it wasn't going to happen with Tori single-handedly winning the tournament. So, yeah.
Yeah.
The so yeah, and
Oh,
you know,
one more person died. Tori's
really?
mom.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Her whole reason for joining Cobra Kai.
yep. Sucks for her.
Yeah.
Once again, someone dies, no one cares,
There you go.
other than
Season
one person.
6 people are required to die.
6 deaths. Yeah, yeah, that's right. They like gloss over that too. She just dies, and it's like whatever.
It's not, they do. She's struggling with it, and she joins Cobra Kai after, and they're like, you shouldn't fight. Your mom's dead.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Johnny has a house with his new wife and daughter and everything, and they're a nice, happy family there. Miguel and Robby are stepbrothers and have a half sibling with the daughter Laura being born.
Yep.
I thought it was funny that her name was Laura, and I guess that was his mom's name, Johnny's mom's name. I just thought it was funny that
Yes.
it's Laura.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
you know, though there was a Daniel in the story already, and now there's a Laura. No Andrew though, because that's a lame ass name.
Yeah.
Um,
I forgot the good names, I guess.
well, the true hero of the Karate Kid saga is Daniel, so that makes sense.
I will say you messed up. You should have put your name instead of the sensei. Should have been Daniel's son. I thought that was an easy
I
way out
know
there.
that's true, but I've heard that all my life, so I think I
Yeah.
was ready for something new. And Daniel is a sensei, so that's okay.
Okay.
Anywho, yeah, and then they have a final scene to go ahead and do one final callback to another Karate Kid, the original Karate Kid, where Daniel is at the table at a sushi place, and he tries to catch a fly with.
Oh
He's
yeah.
leaning
Yeah.
back to catch a fly with his chopsticks, and Johnny comes back from the bathroom and claps his hands and killed the bug, and he's like, "No mercy," and the show ends. That was the final scene of Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
And everyone's seems to be doing okay, and except for the dead ones, we're all good. Everyone had a nice, happy ending, and they wrapped it up lightning speed.
Yeah. And you're at a 7 for this. Like you explaining it to me just made me like, yeah, I think a 6 was good.
The thing is that I like some resolution, and everyone like there was no like really loose ends. It's just that nobody talked about the two characters dying, like the two villains dying, but it wasn't a
Mhm.
loose end. Like they had an ending. It was just that no one talked about it. It was weird.
Yeah.
But everyone had an ending, and I think everyone's ending was like satisfactory, even though every single person had a happy ending other than the one that died. So that was kind of weird. But the show is kind of, it ends up okay. That's kind of like an 80s movie,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, and
So,
Chosen and that one lady hookup.
right.
I actually liked that, but I wish they would have actually had them like the hookup part happen. They just kind of show them he just shows up there for 2 seconds and then they cut away. Like I like what they set up, but they didn't really resolve it in a way that I liked.
Yeah, they did it in like an 80s montage way where it's just like he shows up and they
Yeah.
smile and that's it. I just, once again, I'm not sure if they did these things based on they couldn't get these other actors to show up, or they just,
Mm-hmm.
had this set up for them. So, but yeah, I still think the season. I mean, the ending was good. They wrapped it up. Good heart, like they're good conversations, and they actually are interesting. I like the characters, and I thought the fights were pretty good. Sekai Taikai, And I thought the new additions to the show were all pretty good. You got Stingray showed up at the end for some reason. Cobra Kai is uber popular at the end there, and they just have too many students to do. And they have Johnny being the sensei and everything, and calling people Four Eyes and stuff. I thought that all worked, but they were all evolved characters. They had a beginning, middle, and end. Honestly, I think you could skip like seasons 4 and 5 probably. And you would still like the show, and you could still get the full arc.
I mean, this is a show suffering from success, right? Since it was successful, they wanted more seasons, so it got stretched out to more seasons, and it ends up hurting the show. If they had just done like this bit and cut out season 4 and 5, it probably would have been a lot more tight knit. Like, good show, basically.
I'm happy that a show that started on YouTube did this well, and I think it resolves nicely. I think we'll see what happens with this movie. I don't think it's not connected to Cobra Kai. I'm pretty certain, so we'll see. Hopefully that'll help it out. Hopefully the movie's good. But yeah, I mean, I think they did about as good as they could have, finishing it up in a satisfactory way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked it overall, and I liked the show overall. I think it's good. I think a lot of the people in it are good, and it's not just the adults. I think a lot of the kids did a good job. I like Xolo Maridueña is his name, the guy who's Miguel. He's my favorite character in the show, other than the adults. Like favorite kid, younger character in the show. And I think he's good. I even like Blue Beetle. So, I mean, I think there's a future for a few of the people. I think there's good stuff about this show, and there's, but it's also cringe and cheesy and ridiculous. So, comes and goes. But yeah, I still think I'm at a 7. I still think it's a better season than some of the other seasons. So,
I think it's better, but I just don't think it's like a point better. But okay. I see your point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up our review. Got anything else?
No, I think that was everything for the review. I think next week we're doing Mickey 17. I think. Okay. So I've heard it's weird and stuff, so let's prepare for a weird, strange movie.
As long as it's entertaining.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you guys on the next one. Until then.
This has been the Daniel and Andrew Show. Thank you so much for watching part of the Daniel and Andrew Show. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a notification of a brand new video. If you don't like looking at our faces, no problem. There's always a full audio version of the podcast wherever you find your podcast. Thanks, and enjoy.